The new book, The Virtue of Affability or Friendliness and Its Relevance in Modern Evangelization, explores kindness and approachability as essential tools for healing and outreach. It's inspired by the teachings of Pope Francis. And joining us now is Catholic author and speaker, Dr. Ann DeSantis. Thank you so much, Dr. DeSantis, for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Father, for having me on CFN Live today.
You know, one of my first memories of Pope Francis, or one of the first things I remember about him saying, is that nobody likes sour-faced Christians. And that's kind of been a through line throughout his pontificate. Is that kind of what's behind the inspiration to this virtue of affability?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And I actually just earned my doctorate in theology from Pontifex University. And this is actually the topic of my dissertation. The idea that it really is a virtue, our ability to be friendly, open, warm, approachable, people who are not only able to open ourselves to others, but our reactions and our actions, both of those two aspects. And as you said, yes, it is such a big part of the teachings of Pope Francis. And that is a lot of what I learned in bringing together this piece. And again, you said it's the virtue of affability or friendliness and its relevance in our modern culture.
Yeah, because we're not a very friendly culture. We're really, I keep using the word with people that, we're living in a very abrasive culture, and that has an effect. So let's just think about that a little bit too. So we're talking about evangelization just simply through being friendly, right? Are there any saints that you think would kind of demonstrate that, so we can kind of wrap our minds around this a little bit?
In the book, I talk about several saints. One of them, of course, as many of you who are watching this program might think of, is Saint Teresa of Calcutta, Mother Teresa, and the way that she opened herself in kindness to the poorest of the poor through offering a smile. She said that just in offering that simple smile shows that we are open to them and to whatever is going on in their lives. We're in a world of sin, unfortunately, and it affects every single one of us, not just some of us. And so when we open ourselves up to people in that particular way of being affable and friendly, we can model after the saints. Another one would be Saint, well, I'll call him Saint, but he's being canonized next year, is Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati. And he was a saint that definitely opened himself up. He will be canonized by Pope Francis in this upcoming year of the Jubilee 2025, along with Blessed Carlo Acutis, who's also mentioned in my book. There are a lot of other ones. So if anyone is interested in learning about some of those saints in the book is available through En route Publishing. Right. And they can, read about the different saints who brought friendliness into their lives, into their daily interactions, not just modern saints, but saints throughout the history of the church.
I'm thankful you brought up St. Mother Teresa. I had an experience of seeing her at a juvenile detention center here in the Bronx, and it was a transformative moment. I mean, those kids really had no idea who she was, and the priest that was the chaplain there said to me afterwards that just the effect of just her presence and her joyfulness as she went through that facility was profound. But let me just say, so affability, how does that differ from simply being nice or polite? What are we talking about when we say affability?
Well, it's really meeting people where they are. Because as I just said a minute or two ago, is that all of us are affected by sin in some way, shape, or form. There's nobody that's in heaven yet, last time I checked. And we just need to open ourselves up in terms of what other people are going through. Is it a loss of a loved one? Is it a separation or divorce? Is it something to do with a relationship or a job loss, or a health crisis, or someone who's helping someone else with a health crisis? We really never know what people are going through until we ask and until we open ourselves up to others, and not just to the people that we know. I think it's very common, not just in the Catholic Church, but everywhere, where we get very comfortable with our own families, with the neighbors that live around us, or maybe even at church. we have our own sort of holy huddle or circle of friends that we're used to. It's being open up our eyes to the people that are around us who don't have the love and support that they deserve. And really, that's what this book touches on. And it's all about the teachings of Pope Francis and, of course, really the teachings of the entire Catholic Church. Modern popes such as Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, the Church Fathers. I really do incorporate all of church teaching. And as I said, this is actually my dissertation with Pontifex University. And so I'm really hoping that this message can spread, not just here in the United States, but everywhere, because I don't know about you, Father, but I don't think that this virtue is really one that many people know much about. And that was really the reason why I wanted to bring this to life. It is more than just being nice. It's really being open to others, friendly. And, you know, we also need to understand that not everyone is exactly like us.
Yeah.
And people of different cultures and age groups and all different kinds of beliefs. I believe it's really a gateway to better evangelization in the church.
Yeah, and you just, that's the word I wanted to touch on there, evangelization. Sometimes when people hear the word evangelization, their image is I'm going to stand on a street corner with a Bible in my hand and yell at people, right? So what advice do you have for those in ministry who are maybe a little confused about how to evangelize better? How does this affability approach, how does it really translate into evangelization?
Well, it's one person at a time. It's never a group effort mentality, although I guess it can be, right? We can talk about it as a group and decide how we can approach it, but it's one interaction at a time. As I said, I think that all of us, me included, we can get very comfortable with the people that we want to befriend, the people that we want to hang out with, whether it be people at church, people in our own families. I mean, even in families, we have a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, somebody that nobody talks to. I mean, that's a perfect example of how to reach out to someone that is really forgotten, someone who is not included in the group. And that really is what Christ did. We're imitating him, as he said in Matthew 25, when he separated the sheep from the goats, right? It was according to how we made that outreach, giving drink to the thirsty, food to the hungry, visiting the prisoners. Remember, the prisoners aren't just those who are in our prison systems. They could be someone that's in our neighborhood who doesn't have the support that they need. It could be someone in our family that nobody's talking to. It could be that friend that you haven't reached out to in 5 or 10 years, something like that. You know, there's all kinds of situations. I think we need to be less afraid of being nice and kind and friendly. It really is part of what we believe as Catholics. It is part of being well catechized. You hear that word a lot in the church, is that people should be well catechized. Well, this is probably the most important way that you can be well catechized, I believe. Not just of staying away from sin, right? We need to not only stay away from sin, we need to be proactive, right? Proactive in our faith and make that outreach to others, just in very simple ways, extremely simple ways.
You know, as you're talking, you know, we're thinking a lot about the outside, the people we encounter, but, you know, our everyday life is lived in the context of families, and I'll often really reflect with people that family life is hard. You know, you have people of different ages, different likes, different talents, and they're all together in the home. So, you know, you could have a grumpy teenager and a terrible two, or all those kind of things. So what would you say about just encouraging affability right there at home where it starts?
I would say the most important thing is patience. We all need to be patient with one another and have that listening ear, and don't be quick to react so much. I mean, Saint Teresa of Lisieux is another one that I talk about in the book, and about her life and how it was in those very simple ways of giving herself to others, being a good listener. Active listening is such an important aspect of being affable. And what that is giving a person a chance to speak. We tend to want to finish each other's sentences in this culture, I believe. You know, we think we know what somebody's going to say, but we really don't. And so I think that when we give someone a chance to talk about the things that are important to them, not things that are important to us, right? The things that we want to talk about aren't always the things that the other person wants to discuss. And I think at home we can just be more patient, more loving, and exercise that skill of active listening. I'm just so grateful to be on this program. And if someone wants to get a hold of this book, my website is andesantis.com, just like you see on the screen there.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a page for the book. Again, it's from En Route Publishing. You can also go there, and it is on Amazon and Kindle. It's a good gift for others too, but I especially want to get it into the hands of the clergy and people in the academic world throughout the United States and beyond. Of course, over to the Vatican would be great too. Spread this word of affability.
Well, thank you. And that was my last question I was going to ask you about how to get in touch with you. So thank you for helping us to know that. Really appreciate you coming and joining us today and helping us start off a new year with some affability. And hopefully that kind of helps us to counteract some of the culture we're experiencing. Thank you so much, Ann, for being with us today. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.